provide positive alpha. Thank you, Resma. I think I forgot to request you that, but and then exit is always in our mind, both from risk mitigation and value generation, because we want to leverage the wealth generation and continue to build on the momentum, but also have multiple effects. We look at different avenues of kind of returning the capital of our partners and investors back to them, so they can again reinvest or use it however they want, right? Like I said, we look at outright purchases of equity or properties, or we also look at notes, sweat equity, for example, where we would be participating and doing a lot of heavy lifting in an attempt to bring the company up. We've done that. We look at striking a balance between debt and equity with kind of investors' liquidity in mind, but also the founders' share dilution in mind, right? So we don't want to dilute too much of founders' share, but also want to provide investors with the liquidity. We're constantly building new partnerships. We're fair, transparent, and believe in collaboration. And that's the aspect that a lot of folks find really, we're encouraged to see that is one of the things that really people have enjoyed working with us, right? So we bring just more than capital, right? We bring experience, expertise, and also a huge network of professionals. And we're actively working on new ideas, new ventures. We engage in planning, execution. So we have our eyes and ears open to the markets and what the market dynamics are and what opportunities are there. In terms of our current portfolio, part of through part of the JV or other partnership, we're managing in partnership with others or sort of joint ventures about 65 million USD worth of assets. We have 300 plus single family and multifamily units under management. Our asset class has been kind of diversified both geographically as well as in terms of the asset types and investment types. And we're actively working on new ideas and ventures, and would love to hear from you guys, all of you, if you have anything that you think would be of interest to us or would you need help with. The notable portfolio for us so far, and you'll see the timeline here, we bought Church and Flint. It's a 56 unit in Greensboro in 2022. Called Julia, with partnership with other general partners in Charlotte in 2023. 2024 was highlighted with that 96 unit Delcrest we used to call Tanglewood acquisition. We closed late last year, and also invested in a retail loose leaf organic tea company called Nepal Tea Collective through Safe Round. And then in 2025, we're excited to be partnering with Xuno for raising funds and hoping to one day bring that company to a stage where it can go public. And with that, I will now hand it over to Resma to talk about the Tanglewood opportunity that I know a lot of you here in the meeting today were part of initially and have invested in. Some of you have, and some of you were really keen early on and was not the right time for you. But we want to give an update on where we're at on that project and property. And Resma, would you please take over?
Yeah, sure. Thank you everyone for joining Sunday afternoon evening for you for most of us who are joining today, and especially during the long weekend. So thank you for that. And a little bit about the Delcrest property here. We did close on this property as planned. We are doing some rehab works on this. I think I updated few of you on, if you have already invested in this project, on the progress and how we are working on getting this up and running. So we are working on the rehab. Rehab continues for us. We are probably maybe like 300, 200, 300,000 left in the raise for the rehab. But other than that, we had few challenges in this property according to the timelines or for the rehab and all that good stuff, but we are back on track. So, and we are looking for another real estate investments in and around Charlotte, North Carolina, Carolinas, Tennessee. So if you know anyone, we are actively investing and looking for real estate projects. So, we would love to partner with you, look at your deals or anywhere you need help. With that being said, we are excited to let you know about our new venture, and we are advisory partner for funding Xuno, and that is our 2025 roadmap. We are hence bringing in Bal K, who is CEO and founder of Xuno today, to speak about that. And that's just I think, the big thing for quarter one. However, for quarter two and for rest of the year, we are planning on working on green finance through diaspora bonds. If you want to learn more about it, we can also bring some experts to speak about diaspora bonds and about the green finance. I think Prob would be a perfect candidate. We will take a webinar or two for him to explain about what green finance is. But for now, that is some exciting projects we have in our pipeline. So we will keep you posted. All right. So before further delay, I think I should introduce Bal Joshi to you. So Bal Krishna Joshi, I'm sure most of you are already familiar with him if you're from Nepal. He went to school here in Portland, Oregon, and he made his way back to Nepal. And he was the founder and CEO of Thamel Remit and Thamel.com, which was one of the first e-commerce in Nepal and e-commerce in general in the world. He was interviewed by BBC and many CNBC and many other platforms for what he was able to do at that time in terms of technology and e-commerce. Except for that, he is now founder of 4 other fintech companies, including Leapfrog and Marknet, and both of them now have reached beyond the borders of Nepal and United States to multiple different countries. We are very excited to have him today as he speaks more about his new venture, which is a banking ecosystem with cross-border payments and much more functionalities. So without further ado, Balde, if you can introduce us to Xuno and your goals moving forward.
All right. Thank you, Reshma. Thank you, Prab. First of all, I think good morning from Kathmandu. So it's way too early here. It's still dark, but I love it. And I think for us, I think for an entrepreneur from Nepal, I think the whole, the platform that Staggered is providing has been, I think it's one of the biggest, piece in the missing puzzle of Nepal's tech ecosystem. So I have been quite involved in setting up the whole tech economy here from Nepal, and I don't know how many of you know, but 2022, so tech export was the largest export from Nepal. And the interesting number is almost 79% of the customer base of 79% of the funds, which is somewhere around, I think, $500 million that was exported from tech was originated from Nepal, right? So I don't know if how many of you have heard now. In fact, actually, I am sitting with the Prime Minister next week to discuss further on this opportunity that he has opened for Nepal, where Open has literally revised a policy that was set up in 1965 by King Mahendra, which restricted Nepali companies to set up an office abroad or to even to open a bank account abroad, right? So what I've just kind of given you is a snapshot of of how the world has evolved, especially past pandemic. And for myself, there's only one thing that I've done in my life that is literally trying to figure out the cross-border payment frictions for countries like Nepal. And to kind of make it simple, if you look at the cross-border payment, so it's almost 151, it's almost a 151-year-old business, right? But the thing is still stuck in the past. There's not a lot of innovation in terms of how this industry should move forward. Then Right now for Industry 4.0, or what they also, what's also known as Globalization 4.0, is world is completely have emerged into a different level of globalization where now even the even the basically smallest of the smallest individuals and the smallest of the smallest companies now can actually do business in the global marketplace. And the numbers that I shared with you in regards to Nepal is a kind of it's a testament of how the world is evolving, right? So if you look at the cross-border payment pre-pandemic, let's just say what's also known as globalization 3.0, is there's always been nothing but restrictions. You know, it's your hard-earned money, right? It's your hard-earned money. But the thing is, the main key, the key, component of the sending cross-border payment has always been FX rate. Surprisingly, it's not speed. Speed is only 20% of the cost of the concern, but over 80% of the concern is actually FX. So all of us who are from Nepal here. And I think we understand something called the buying and selling that actually gets represented on newspaper every day, right? Now that's a rate that is actually controlled by that is published by the central bank, right? So usually the way the market operates, like companies like, Wise, Remitly, Western Union, or even MoneyGram. So the way they operate is, so basically buying rate set by the government, right? And then maybe 1 to 10% in Forex fees is equal to value to the customer. Now, here's where the games become very interesting, right? So, what have we seen? What have we seen in the beginning of the 4.0 is commoditization of business that's connected to the internet, right? Information, right? To basically infrastructure. So we begin to see that. So what do people want? And I myself, having been in this business for so long, and then have literally kind of invested my entire life in building the infrastructure for countries like ours. So what are we seeing is we are seeing basically people waiting, I mean, like people waiting up to 8 business days to convert the FX of their liking, right? Now imagine, so this basically, imagine this friction now available to, or this solution available to our customers instantly, right? Now I don't really need to get into a lot of details. There's restriction fast payments. Let's just say there's an emergency to send $7,000 to Nepal. There's no service right now that can that can basically convert the currency instantly. There's a limit. So the payment, infrastructure that is set either by Swift or the money transfer operators works beautifully if it's less than $3,500, but it does come with a pretty significant cost. Now we have significantly reduced to a level where no industry in the US, no company in the US can compete with us, right? More than importantly, being a student of liberal arts, I graduated from Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon. It's a pretty decent liberal arts college. So the whole journey of Xuno for me has been more of an inclusivity. Why should somebody in the US, why should somebody in the developed world should only have the access to this global marketplace? So if you look at the industry right now, it's totally sender-centric. Now, imagine the story, right? Now, the story, like you are sending with $1,000, you've done your part, right? But if it's a Swift transactions, believe it or not, if it's a USD to non-USD transactions, it might take up to 3 weeks. Or in some cases, the money might just disappear and you have no idea where the money's gone. Now, imagine when you send money from money transfer operators, the thing is, the money transfer operators focus primarily in enabling remittance transactions, which is P2P. Try and sending money to a QR code in Nepal, or try and send money to a merchant in Nepal. Try and send money to freelancers in Nepal, which is a huge economy in making. You're not going to be able to do that, right? So I think the whole model of Xuno is to build a bridge between financial institution in Nepal and financial institution in the US, where it's now no longer payment, right? So first thing I get again asked is, oh my God, there are already $1 trillion worth of companies doing what you're trying to do. But guess what? There's not even a single company in the world who is trying to do what we're trying to do. What does that mean? Number one, taking the margin away from the FX, right? Number two is basically to be able to even enable $10,000 worth of transactions instantly, and that also rate available at central bank's rate without any frictions, without any gimmick. Three, can you imagine, some of you, when you travel to Nepal, hopefully later this year, you'll be able to download Xuno app and literally scan QR codes and not have to worry about using a cards, right? So it can basically be dedicated. It can be debited from your account in the US like with Xuno, and you can pay seamlessly. Cost is gone, the friction's gone, and the security concerns are gone. And more than importantly, right? So one thing I'm most excited about Xuno is opening this access to beneficiaries. Let's just say Prav is feeling generous today, and he's sending me. So Prav, you have an account, so you can send that $2,000, right?
Absolutely,
Now,
would love to. I mean, you mentioned Nepal, and that's where we are from, but this is available for other countries too, right? And this is scalable, and you're building. And also wanted to see if you're willing to share some slides or work through that presentation as well, or what you're doing makes sense to me. I don't know if a lot to digest there, but absolutely.
okay. So I think going back to the flow, right? So what I would like to do prior first is to kind of run you through how the flow works in Nepal. And the reason why Nepal is actually a mecca for in terms of all the transformation around globalization 4.0, and especially to do with cross-border payments. 25% of the GDP comes through remittances. The population, is now average 50% of the population is less than 25. Nepal's largest export is IT. And then again, the sad part is almost over a million, youth are leaving in search of jobs to other countries, right? So, is this only for Nepal? No, it's really not only for Nepal. But the thing is, it's actually for at least the 3 billion population that lives in South and Southeast Asia. So I think a lot of people ask me, okay, how was this product was how was this how did this product come about, and why did you choose to be in Nepal? Like I said earlier, it is the mecca for all these kinds of problem. And in fact, I'm very pleased to let you know the story of Zuno has somehow been heard by countries around. So we're integrating into India, and that is also with one of India's largest, companies. It's called Muthoot, where Amitabh Bachchan is the
Brand
face of it.
ambassador. Yeah.
Yes, he's the face of it. And then another one is in Sri Lanka. I even had the opportunity to sit with the president of Sri Lanka to introduce this, and also in Bangladesh. And now, in fact, one of the world's largest privately held company called CP Group from Thailand, which owns all the 7-Eleven to most of the malls to they are very, very highly invested also in the banking and telecommunication. True Mobile is also part of the interest, right? In fact, actually, I've also getting a lot of interest from Latin America and Africa, but we've chosen to kind of solve the problem, at least first now in South and Southeast Asia. Okay. So I think this is, I mean, for me, if there's one thing I've done in my entire life is being in the business of, moving money. So I've had experience to work with the regulators all across, all across 50 states. In fact, on February 20th, I should be in DC. I just received a very special invite from the regulators post this new presidency, where they want to look at opportunities like us, which actually helps build more bridges between US and outside of US. Now, what is the biggest friction for cross-border payment in the US is the originating bank do not have the visibility of the beneficiary cross borders, and problem for the banks in our parts of the world is do not have the visibility of the sender's detail, right? So if you look at the screen right now, so what we have is literally like a Uber-like app that onboards sender on one.
Sorry about that. Are you sharing your screen?
Yes, it is shared. Are you seeing this?
No.
I can see it.
Oh, you can? Okay. Sorry about that.
We can see it.
Okay.
Okay, great. So if you look at this flow right now, so can you imagine Uber-like platform, right, where it's onboarding sender at the same time and beneficiary? So some of the things, some of the first question that you will ask is, okay, why would beneficiary want to download this app? Now imagine I go back to Prab. So Prab is sending me $2,000. So right now, the way the industry works is basically Prab can convert that foreign exchange instantly against rates set by Western Union and send to me either instantly or in 3 days or in 5+ days, right? So that's the existing flow. That will also be part of our flow, and that's not a huge deal, right? Our flow is now Prav is going to be connected to what's called the RTP. That's a real-time network. I mean, I don't know how many of you are aware, but in July, US actually went live with real-time payment network. So which in Nepal, we had that 10 years ago. So US got a lot of catching to do, right? So there's a lot of noise about real-time payment and FedNow. So I think the coming year, most of the banks actually are going to be in that network. In fact, I'm very proud to inform you that Xuno is the first company in the US to be on the RTP rail, and we have been operational for last 4 months, right? So what happens is the difference between RTP and ACH takes 3 days. RTP does instantly, so you can be connected to the RTP network. Bank of America is one of the largest, one of the first customers, one of the first banks to be on the RTP rail. Now you instantly can, go into your Bank of America app, send a RTP transaction instantly to a Xuno wallet. Now from Xuno wallet, you don't even have to convert. So you basically, Prav has sent me $2,000. I get a notification in Nepal saying Prav has generously sent me $2,000. Now guess what? Now that money is immediately accessible to me to convert, right? So I can convert that instantly, that $2,000. Now, since that conversion is going to happen against central bank issued rates, what we have seen is 72% of our customers prefer to convert between 4 to 8 days on the past data that we have run, right? So now what I have access to is I can either convert that $2,000 instantly, or I can just convert $200 that I need for that day and leave that money with the bank in Nepal, which we can convert in next 15 days. So what we have done is, which has never been done before. That is, we have now figured out how to hold liquidity in cross-border payments, right? Now, most of you are probably thinking, how the hell these guys are going to make money, right? So number one is, this is going to be available on a subscription basis, right? So you're going to have an account. We're going to charge somewhere from $4.99 to $14.99 per month, right? And is this just to send monthly? It's just want to send monthly transactions? No, it's for you to have entire control of the FX available on your fingertips. Think of a Robinhood. So what did Robinhood do, right? So Robinhood made it possible for people who even wanted to spend around $10 on investment. That's exactly what we're doing. So somebody who wants to $10 now can also engage in a FX transaction, right? So now I get the notification, and now I'm going to download that Xuno wallet and then be able to convert that. Now, even in terms of revenue, so we have subscription, but on top of that, we have figured out how to hold liquidity. As soon as we have figured out how to hold liquidity, we can totally revenue engineer just like a bank now instantly, right? So basically, for a US to adopt RTP rails, it's going to take at least another 18 months, best case scenario. In the meantime, there are people who have emergency, especially in the hospitals, to pay over like $4,500 instantly. Now guess what the cost of us moving that $4,500 becomes zero, because we will use the fund that's within the liquidity to actually have that customer pay up to $10,000 per transaction. So this is where the game is actually changing. Are we a fintech company? More than fintech company, I think what we've really done is we've built a bridge, and the network effect of that bridge is being us able to offer this in a subscription-based model, never been done before, enabling conversion across borders, never been done before, and more than anything else, in terms of revenue engineering to be able to hold that liquidity. Now, here's a snapshot, right? Can you imagine somebody sends $10,000, and let's just talk about Wise, because a lot of questions around me as how are you different than Wise? So Wise is charging almost 1.14% against the buying rate set by the central bank. Guess how much we're charging? Zero. So this is where the game changes. So by the way, so these are none of these numbers that I've shown. These are not like basically what if. So these are all the things that actually we've already done. So in terms of basically now what we're building this for, I think this is probably one of the most interesting story in cross-border payment and cross-border banking. The size is just huge. Total addressable market around the world is $190 trillion, right? So where we're really focusing right now till 2030 is to focus on the $15 billion across at least South and Southeast Asia. So if we were to process almost around $15 billion, we'd be a unicorn. So I think one of my biggest target right now is can we provide that story to Nepal? Can Nepal be beyond just a service center? Can Nepal be beyond just a tailor shop? Can Nepal actually solve, actually one of the world's most interesting problem? And I think we're on that route. Now, here's something that I shared with you earlier, so is it only available for people providing subscription? No, it's also available for people who wants to do transaction. On the transaction side too, so one of the things we've done in terms of product is, thanks to the, innovation, the rapid innovation and artificial intelligence, so we have access to every Forex numbers in the internet, we can naturally beat. Let's just say now, Reshma is feeling generous and she wants to send me $1,000. So Reshma doesn't want to subscribe. So what we can do is, so we will on the same dashboard, real-time insight into what Wise is charging, what MoneyGram is charging, what is Western Union charging, and automatically beat that by at least 20% so that we have a hooked, right? So more than anything else, so is this just an idea? No, it's not. So it's taken me millions of dollars and a lot of time, more than money, millions, more than time, more than money. I think time to get this banking approval from the US. So last January, we started kind of doing a beta testing with some of my, goat selling customers, goat buying customers from Thamel.com. So far, what we've done is without doing any marketing, we've probably processed a little bit over $22 million, over 18,000, transactions that we've already been covered and a lot of major medias around the world. In fact, actually, like Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal. So these guys actually want to write about us when you go live, and hopefully we will go live on a beta on the app by end of this month. Okay, so I think these are little two details. I think this will be available to you if upon your request. Kind of gives us the more than our competitive advantage. How are we different? So I think only thing that I would like to focus on is this: the banking. See, in Nepal, not only in Nepal but even in India. So what actually happens is a lot of non-resident, diaspora folks can actually open a bank account. Like, for example, in Nepal's case, right? If you have $100,000 sitting in your account, how much money are you going to get in your savings? Now, in Nepal, we've designed a product where you can remotely open a dollar account and then get a fixed deposit, or make an earnings up to 5%, collateralize it if you want to spend it, and then more importantly, repatriate it. So again, I'm going to say that you can actually send money from US, hold it in Nepal, and then have it in some kind of investment, like terms locked in for maybe 2 years to 3 years, and then you can actually repatriate that. So because we are a multi-sided banking platform, because we are onboarding senders and the bank across borders, right? We can actually do that. So I've said enough about P2P, but this is not just about P2P. So this is about enabling merchants, right? So we've already been, so right now, central bank is in the last minute, approval process for us to be allowed to consume the QR codes of the merchants, right? And other than, I'm also really, really excited about empowering the freelancers. In the report that actually came out, out of the $500 million that was exported on 2022, 67,000 contributed 60% of that $500 million, out of which almost 80% was originated from the US. So one of the things we will be rolling out on Q2 is a freelancer in Nepal can actually have a US dollar bank account in Nepal. So when you have that now, imagine, right? The country only allows you to spend $500 a year right now. So if you have a dollar account and if you are a verified freelancer, you can spend up to $18,000 a year. And fast forward, hopefully in next 2 months, hopefully next year, right? So what these freelancers will also be able to do is they will be able to open Delaware, register a company in Delaware or anywhere in the US or anywhere in the world and open a bank account. Now, how is this going to happen? This service is going to be available through local financial institutions. Now, as soon as we do that, there's one major friction that's taken care of is the visibility, KYC, the compliance, right? Now, all of these compliance data are stored in what's called the ISO 222 format, which is where the world is now going, and we're already ahead of that, is going to be available for all the banking institutions across the world to be able to verify. And hence, because that rail is not there, because that bridge is not there, so that's why there's a lot of scrutiny in business payment, right? So lastly, so just to kind of quickly, right? So we've already integrated this into India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and then but the thing is, we want to be very, very careful in terms of going live. Almost 50% of the banks in Nepal have already consumed this, and then so where are we, right? So in terms of, I think me reaching out to Staggered and Staggered open its door has been amazing. So we've already had, significant interest in investing in us. And the initial part, actually the initial kickoff, because it was way too ambitious, I did the most of the investment myself. I exited out of all the companies that I have started and then literally took a huge risk to get this approval, and touch wood, by the blessings of God, I'd say, I've been fortunate. So, and then but right now, So what we're really doing is now we want to scale. So we want to build all of the product modules. So we're actually trying to raise almost a $5 million and a safe round with valuation capped at $25 million. I cannot name names, but there are one of the most powerful, promoters of the bank in South Asia have also signed term sheet with us, right? So the whole idea of this business, right? The whole idea of this business is to put Nepal on the map, is to give beneficiaries around the world the control. Now imagine, right? So my question to all my potential investors, does the world have 1 million customers across 4 payment verticals? Payment to individuals, payment to merchants, payment to freelancers, and payment to business, right? Can they actually afford to pay 499 to 1499 month, to access the highest exchange rate, to access the highest limit, to basically to have their beneficiary become totally in control, right? And more than payment, to access banking services. If we can, if we can convert that into 1 million customers, we're almost a $3 billion company by 2029, right? Generating at least a revenue of $108 million. And that's where actually we're going. Right now, my final slide, right? So I've been this in business for 20 plus years. So, and I basically, I think moving money business is in my blood, it's in my spirit, it's in everything. And I've seen everything that could go right in payment business to everything that could go wrong. Fortunately, I'm also under the umbrella of a lot of powerful fintech entrepreneurs around the world and also associated with very large banks who has been supporting me. Rupesh is basically, he is one of Nepal's most famous professors. He was teaching entrepreneurship, and I said, "Forget you. I don't think you need to teach the young kids how to become an entrepreneur. Why don't you coach me? Maybe I'll grow more entrepreneur." So, but anyway, jokes apart, he's a good friend. He's been my coach all along. Amazing. He's also just finished his PhD on entrepreneurship from AIT. Powell has been with me for almost 10 years. I'd say because I was in fintech way too early than way too early even in the US. So he's been with me since then. So he's helped build some of the companies which has like valued at billions of dollars building their infrastructure early on. Sarad was the head of the he was the head of kind of talent management in Leapfrog. So he's probably groomed at least over 1,000 kids that has gone in and outside of Leapfrog. So amazing. The guy has world-class experience in how to manage talents. And lastly, Shushant. Shushant is kind of like my walking, talking AI guy in terms of data. So he's worked around the world. And then literally, right? So he's implemented Swift in 30 different countries around the world for his other company that he worked out of Canada. Now he's literally helping me build this Xuno. So with that, so if you have any question, I would love to answer. Again, so this is more than just a payment. This is more than just a business. This is literally giving access to companies and individuals in our parts of the world to connect to the marketplace. We've had some really interesting traction. And again, all of this has been also been possible because of Reshma, and I continue to be an ambassador of this change in this coming year. So thank you. And if you have any interest, please contact me directly or Reshma or Brad. Thank you.
Thank you, Balai. For in terms of questions, we have few questions in the chat, so I will ask you those. And if you have more questions, you can type in the chat. If you're not, if you can access that, you can also unmute yourself to ask him any questions. So the first question is that will this be a $50,000 minimum investment, or 50 to 100 million, 100,000 that we usually do, or would you be accepting any smaller investments, or will this be open to public?
I will probably answer that for Baldai because us being Staggered Equity as fundraising partners. So the minimum ticket size for this will be a lot less, but a larger ticket size is welcome as well. And, for you, because you're a part of our community, and we would like to share, this is not just a fundraising idea, right? What we're doing here, partnering with the Xuno, what Staggered is doing by partnering with Xuno is we wanted to make this available to as many individuals as possible because we truly believe in, providing that access. And that, as we mentioned early on, bringing opportunities to individuals is one. The second thought here by making the ticket size small, is also a customer acquisition strategy. So when we believe that by making the ticket size small, a lot more participants will be able to take advantage of this momentum and be part of this company that is definite to grow into something really good and something really big. So right now, we are in the $500 to $1,000 minimum ticket. I think we'll land at $1,000. We're still working details out. The fundraising will be through WeFunder. Again, safe notes for those who's familiar. If not, we'll be happy to walk you through that process. The site will be live soon, but we are already taking interest, and there has been significant interest from large capital as well. And maybe if there's any question, we'll also make Bal available at the end of this session. Reshma, what's the other question that we want Bal to answer at this point?
Okay. So if you can see the chat there, I posted the link for WeFunder that might help. And I think this is a generic question as to whose principle do we follow in Xuno in terms of other companies, principle of democratizing or, just solving problem.
Okay, let me just quickly dive into that for 1 minute. So I think the problem that Xuno is trying to solve is give, like access to market-driven forex rates, just like Robinhood, right? So Robinhood enabled somebody with $10 to be able to make investments, right? So what Xuno is really trying to do on the on the money transfer, like the industry is, so right now customers are charged almost 1 to 10%. Now imagine almost paying zero fees if you are in a subscription-based model and instant payment access regardless of the limit to be able to do that, right? So number one. So what we're really doing is we're taking all the frictions away. So number two, in terms of inspiration, right? I think inspiration is, I'd say, all the companies. So what we have done is, if to be very candidly honest with you, this is not a new innovation. This is optimization, right? First of all, I think the biggest inspiration comes from Western Union. So Western Union has this legal framework, what's it's called, the principal agent agreement, where the onboarding bank and the receiving bank on the same network. But that agreement was done to move cash to cash. But the thing is that works beautifully, when it's a basic cash collection and cash payout, but it doesn't work when it's cash or the digital digital. That's basic. Number one is that. Number two, Wise. So Wise introduced to the world the whole mid-market rate. That means the market rate, right? But the thing is, Wise revenue engineering and the Wise customer focus is basically making that FX available at a cost plus catering to the sender. So how we're different from Wise is making that FX available on a subscription-based basis, right? And not only having not only having the sender as the customer, but also the beneficiaries. So I'd say this is literally an optimization. Now, again, in terms of payment processing, ACS, 3 days, right? Card, 3.5%, but we are an RTP rail. So RTP is literally a better version of ACH, right? So what we've really done is we have not challenged any laws in any countries at all, but we've optimized it. And I think having been in the cross-border payment business and have had experience in building the infrastructure ground up, down, and I think so this is the result. So if you have more questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Before we do that, I will take a few minutes to just make this announcement that, with Xuno, there are a lot of people, or, almost all of us today invest in stock market and try to find these company early on. And because this is a safe round funding, this might be your opportunity to invest and grow with a company that is growing really, really fast. I put the WeFunder link on the chat. Let me know if you can see it, access it, or if you have any questions. Staggered is more than happy to answer anything for you on behalf of Xuno, or you can reach out to Xuno team directly, and we are happy to provide contacts on that as well. We do have special discounts for high ticket investors, and we will be providing you like any numbers or anything that you would need or want to make these investments.
So
I would, yes.
30 seconds to add to that is, so we started as a cross-border payment company. now we're evolving into what's called the neobank. So what neobank is different than like existing banks is neobank actually gets a sponsorship from a existing bank, and the whole approval process is very spendy and a very scrutinized. So we are a neobank, and I think the roadmap that we will have in 3 years is we are actually already looking at an opportunity to US in a opportunity to invest in a bank in the future. So I think if you look at the progression, right? So how we're different, we're not a payment company. So we've now evolved into neobank. By neobank, now we can onboard more customers, we can offer more services just than the remittance transfer, right? Now on the third, because now that I have had an amazing traction and amazing support, I'm not even fully live yet. Now there are a lot of actually banks in the US who want us part of their cap table because they love what we're building. So I think in 3 years period of time, the roadmap is to be able to invest in a bank in the US, and I think Suprav and Reshma are already looking at that deal. So that's how the things are progressing, and we are just kind of catching up with this progression. Thank you, Reshma.
Yeah, thank you, Bala. You not to digress the fact that you have done $20 million in transaction in 9 months with very low CAT cost. That I think does tell us a lot about your company. But we are running out of time, and we also have
Yes, we are. Yeah, and we would really want to give the group here opportunity to talk to Sachin. So we will switch gears here. Like Balai said, like Resma said, please type in your questions. We'll try to get to them if we can today, or respond to you through email. We would also encourage you to please email us. The email address is on the chat with your contact information so we can reach out, or call us directly.